Hey there, let's do something interesting right away. Uh, I want to introduce you to this book, which is one of my favorite books in design, which is The Design of Everyday Things by Sir Don Norman. And it is my go to book. And I keep gravitating towards this book, and I have various notes marked in this book. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up certain devices or systems or certain interfaces and to see how they fit well in the design criteria. So this is the device, an electronic device that I've recently bought. This is Sennheiser MKE 400, and it's a cardioid mic, and I've primarily purchased it after some research for to be used with my DSLR. But right now I'm going to test it with my cell phone as well because it gives a connectivity with cell phone also. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at this device and see how it fits on various parameters that lead to a good design. So first we will just have a look at the form of the device, and then we'll look at the functionality, and then we'll compare here. Okay, so let's do this. The device has certain buttons on its body, and the interesting thing is, which I observed after using it for a while, that the buttons, if you consider this as x axis and you consider this as y axis, which is vertically inward or in this direction, the buttons can move left to right along x axis, and there is one button which seems to be a power button, and there's something interesting here. Once it is connected to the device on which it's going to record the voice, it takes the power from that, and there's an instant feedback. We'll look into that. On the other side, you have the volume. You can press this button, which means that the possible movement is in this direction, which is y axis. You have a headphone jack here. Again, the movement is going to be along y-axis, and you have a mic out point here, and if you look at it carefully, the possible movements of these buttons are left to right, and the jack also goes in this direction, which actually is the x-axis. And the another possible movement is the movement of this circular ring that can fit the mic. Amazing. If you consider x, y, and z axis in third dimension, within this system, all the possible operations of buttons or connections are actually confined to two axes. There is one slot here which is for battery, but we're going to use it. Anyone who is using this mic is going to use it in a very low frequency, so we're not going to touch this right now. I'm going to look at the daily operations if I'm using this mic for continuous recordings. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect it to the cell phone, and we're going to see whether there are instant feedbacks, and then we will look at these parameters. So let me connect it to my cell phone here. Because there is a headphone jack, you might have observed that the volume might have changed. So I'm just going to put this headphone jack here so that I can also get an instant feedback. And so I do this, and I connect to I plug them in my ear. Yes, it is picking up volume. So there is an instant feedback. And you might have observed one thing. The moment this was connected to the phone, this uh, green light came into existence. Um, so there's an instant feedback that the mic is powered on. Now let's try to operate these buttons and we will see what happens. In principle, every action is going to have some effect on the volume that is picked up on the mic, and we'll see whether the feedback is instant. So I'm going to move this to the center. There are 3 steps here. This is the position. It can move 2 steps towards this, and there is going to be one position where the volume may go away, so just please be patient when I come back to it, for me to come back to it. Okay, let's move this to the neutral position, and move this again to here, it is possible that the volume will go away completely. So we will come back to this. So as soon as I do this, I think the volume control. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put this at a higher gain volume here, and so that we're able to discuss this further functionalities on the mic. What does this button do? We'll move this button to the left and we will see the effect. The moment you do this, the overall throw that the mic picks up changes here. And this is an instant feedback into my ear and probably into the video as well. And once the video is uploaded, we'll know. I move it back here again to the neutral position. And I think it's a really great design because there are only finite options or finite actions along a single axis, and every action has an instant feedback. Now look at, I'm going to decrease the mic here, decrease the volume here slightly, and let's look at these points. There are 7 stages of actions that lead to 7 fundamental principles of design. And let's see whether this device fits perfectly on these parameters. First is discoverability. It is possible to determine what actions are possible and the current state of device. I think yes, it's fairly intuitive to see what actions are possible on this device and the current state of device, which is given by the slide here. Feedback. There is full and continuous information about the results of actions and the current state of the product or service. After an action has been executed, it is easy to determine the new state. I think it is, and it fits really well on this parameter. Third, conceptual model. The design projects all the information needed to create a good conceptual model of the system, leading to understanding and a feeling of control. The conceptual model enhances both discoverability and evaluation of result. I think it fits very well because the conceptual model is very clear here, and even if you're picking up this mic for the first time, you will be able to perform certain actions on it, and you will be able to see through the presence of these signifiers that this action is going to decrease something, and if you move this along this axis, this is going to increase something. There is a button that can be pushed. It's probably going to power on the mic, and then there is this volume. And if you push the volume buttons on minus and plus, probably the volume is going to increase. So the conceptual model is extremely clear here. Affordances. The proper affordances exist to make the desired actions possible. Yes, this button cannot move along Z axis. This button cannot move along Z axis. There is only one axis along which they can move, which is a very good design. This button can move only along one axis, and this button can also move along one axis. So yes, affordances are very clear here. Signifiers. Effective use of signifiers ensures discoverability and the feedback is well communicated and intelligible. I think very well. You can, as we saw earlier, when we move these buttons, the signifiers are quite clear here, and any action leads to an instant feedback. Look at the mappings. The relationship between controls and their actions follows the principles of good mapping, enhanced as much as possible through spatial layout and temporal contiguity. I cannot say more about this. This perfectly fits on this parameter. The last one is constraints. Providing physical, logical, semantic, and cultural constraints guides actions and eases interpretation. Let's keep the cultural constraints aside, but it fits really well because it's not contextual at this point of time in this context. The physical, logical, and semantic constraints are quite clear here. So, in principle, if I look at this device, this is a great design. And this is not a sponsored video. I'm going to be picking up a lot more devices and systems and interfaces to analyze them from design point of view. So yes, I'm not being paid by Sennheiser for doing this. It's just that on first principles basis, this seems to be a really good design. I don't know exactly about the output it's going to give on the DSLR that we use, but as far as the overall intuitive nature of the design is concerned, this is fairly well. So I will see you in next few videos when we look at other designs, and we will try to understand the principles of design by analyzing various objects and systems and interfaces and much more. And we'll also look at nature for design inspirations. Till then, goodbye, have a good time, and I'll try this on my DSLR. Have a good day. Bye.